Tonight, marking 1 year after Hamas's murderous attacks on Israel, 1 year that's changed the world. In Israel, returning to the scene of a massacre to remember the victims and the horror.
This nightmare wasn't supposed to happen.
Plus, a survivor story still raw tonight. Are you sometimes still afraid?
For sure.
From Gaza, intense misery trapped in the ruins. All under the shadow of an expanding war that's being felt here in Canada, too.
Some people feel the need to hide their Star of David here in Toronto.
Where is this going next? Also tonight, the urgent warnings and evacuations in Florida as the monster Hurricane Milton explodes in strength and churns closer.
Not only is it a hurricane, it's already a major hurricane.
The concern for millions, people still reeling, still recovering from another historic storm.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Across Israel and around the world, people are marking a crushing anniversary. 1 year since Hamas-led fighters poured across the border from Gaza and unleashed a massacre on Israel, the deadliest single attack on Jews since the Holocaust. The horror of that day reverberates still. Families of the 1,200 people murdered still mourn. So many hostages are still held in Gaza, and that wave of unthinkable violence has kicked off a broader regional conflict that has claimed tens of thousands of lives. Well, tonight we have extensive coverage of the October 7th anniversary with correspondents throughout the region. Now, this comes as Israel's war against Hamas, which Canada considers a terrorist organization, drags on. The fighting and the rockets continuing as mourners gathered to lean on each other. Sasha Petrusik shows us the scenes in Israel.
At daybreak, music pulses through southern Israel, just like a year ago at the Nova Festival. Back then, thousands danced with joy. Now hundreds are remembered in sorrow. Right after this song last year at 6:30, sirens wailed, rockets flew, and heavily armed Hamas militants stormed in. Festival goers tried to run, but 40 people were taken hostage, 364 killed. Among the dead, Noah Faraj. Her mother can't imagine why.
We don't accept it. There's no room for hate, revenge.
But even here, grieving is pierced by the guns of continued conflict. Artillery shooting into Gaza next door. Israel's leaders vowing to continue fighting until total victory, including destroying Hamas's rule and military capabilities. Some 1,200 people died in the October 7th attack, 250 taken hostage.
It was the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust, but unlike the Holocaust, we fight back.
Israel has stretched itself to fight this war, with some reservists spending 300 days in Gaza. Yovav Tzur says it was his duty after the Hamas attack.
We saw the devil that day.
But he also blames Israeli leaders who failed to protect the country.
We don't want it to happen again. We believe that we need to do something extreme.
Communities across the South, devastated by October 7th, had their own ceremonies. With almost 100 people still held hostage, including some from Nir Oz, this kibbutz, many say it's not possible to memorialize October 7th. It's just too soon, too painful.
We are still deep, deep in the trauma. We are not out of it. Not yet. I hope someday it will come.
Not possible, say hostage families, until their loved ones are back. And at this protest ceremony, they say the Prime Minister hasn't tried hard enough. October 7th shocked Israel and also united it in outrage at Hamas, disbelief at the hostages taken, and bitterness at the government's failure. Adrian?
But Sasha, given that it's been such an intense, grief-filled year, what's your sense of how the tone changed there?
Well, this place is definitely more war-weary and divided. Places like Jerusalem or the settlements in the occupied West Bank, they are more in favor of fighting until total victory, almost at any cost. Places like Tel Aviv in the south, well, they want a ceasefire deal with Hamas at least long enough to bring the hostages home. One thing everybody's agreeing on, though, is that Israel needs to keep being tough with its enemies. Adrian?
All right, Sasha Petrusik in Jerusalem. Now, as people in Israel mourn, so too do many Palestinians now trapped in a ruinous war between Hamas and Israel. The number of dead continues to climb in Gaza and the West Bank. Chris Brown takes us there.
Sunrise in Gaza reveals the utter enormity of the damage inflicted by Israel's attacks over the past year. There were no gatherings or services here, just more despair and anguish. Israeli strikes in Gaza City have killed at least 52 people in the past day, say local Palestinian medics. The youths were sitting and doing nothing, and the rocket fell on them, said this bystander. They're innocent people. There's no resistance. Hamas marked the one-year anniversary of their murderous attacks by firing off rockets at Israel, injuring 2 people, an indication perhaps that after all the destruction and mass displacement, the militant group is hurt but not defeated. According to Gaza health officials, 42,000 people have been killed and 97,000 injured, with many of the survivors losing everything.
This year destroyed everything that I did for the last 6 years of my life.
A videographer working for CBC News in Gaza talked to Mohammed Adda, a 25-year-old medical student who would have graduated to become a doctor this year.
I am full of hopes, but in this year I had to burn it with my own hands, because if I didn't do this, the Israeli rockets will destroy it instead of me. So my hopes is getting smaller.
For many Palestinians in the West Bank, this was a day of defiance against Israel's long occupation and to show solidarity with the people of Gaza.
Here in the West Bank, it's also been a year of despair, with impeded movement, an economy in ruins, and escalating attacks from emboldened Jewish settlers.
Sumaya Qasim told us she cannot feel happiness anymore. Kids are dying, their arms and legs are cut off. What kind of future can they have, she said. Her words were sadly prophetic. As we spoke to her nearby at Kalandia, Palestinian youths clashed with Israeli forces who fired with live bullets during a raid on the refugee camp. 12-year-old Hatem Reith was shot in the abdomen and killed, making him one of the nearly 700 Palestinians killed by Israel's military or settlers here in the past year, and leaving yet another mother in mourning.
Israel's military is saying that the raid in Kalandia was part of a counter-terrorism operation, and there have been several of those of late, including a full-on airstrike in Tel Karim in the West Bank 4 nights ago. That killed 18 people, including, Israel says, a Hamas commander. Adrian.
And Chris, access to Gaza is tightly controlled by the IDF, so you aren't able to get in there, but you did spend considerable time in the occupied West Bank. What else did Palestinians there tell you?
Well, we heard people voicing support for Hamas. Palestinians, no matter where they live, are much worse off than they were before, but many still see resistance to the Israeli occupation as important to their dignity, and they're going to support those who demonstrate that. Adrian.
All right, Chris Brown and team in Jerusalem tonight. Now, from the first horrible moments of October 7th, 2023, there were questions about whether a wider regional war would happen. And 1 year on, Israel is indeed fighting on another front in a battle with Hezbollah inside Lebanon. The IDF says it carried out air raids on 120 targets in just 1 hour today. According to Lebanon's health ministry, at least 10 firefighters were killed while preparing for rescue missions. Our senior international correspondent, Margaret Evans, is in Beirut tonight. She will join us in just a few minutes. Now, here in Canada, there is also deep mourning tonight. And these are the faces of the 8 Canadians killed in that Hamas attack on October the 7th. 8 lives cut short, 8 families forever changed. Now, the tension and pain of all the losses course through this country. As Katie Nicholson shows us, you can hear it and see it and feel it in the prayers and protests marking this day.
1 year after her cousin was kidnapped by Hamas, Maureen Lesham keeps her close to her heart.
I wear it every single day as a reminder.
24-year-old Romy Gonen among the estimated 100 hostages still unaccounted for.
You know, it feels like just yesterday, and it feels like an eternity at the same time.
In the aftermath of October 7th, the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust, a growing sense of unease, even in her own city.
Some people feel the need to hide their Star of David here in Toronto. I have many, many friends that have learned Krav Maga and self-defense in the event that we, might need to fight back.
All year, tensions around Israel's response to the attack spilled over into Canadian communities. Today was no exception.
Like, what justifies that behavior? And when we see this occurring almost every single day, on an average of 50 to 60 individuals dead for the past 365 days.
Similar scenes played out across the country, including Montreal's McGill campus, a focal point for protest.
Let everybody hear it. Let everyone in the world hear it.
More than 1,200 lives were lost, 8 of them Canadian, remembered at an evening event by the Prime Minister.
May their memory be a blessing.
Noam Hanukkah was shot multiple times on October 7th. His wife Noah was at home in her last trimester.
I think the water broke when the first terrorists trying to get into my shelter.
Against all odds, they survived and welcomed a son, a beacon of joy in a world that had drastically changed. Now they're marking this grim anniversary with family in Canada.
We want our people back home, and I think only when they return home, we can have the power to breathe again.
Until then, the long, weary wait for families continues. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
That evening event Katie mentioned, at which the Prime Minister spoke, also featured words from the leader of the opposition, a speech from Pierre Poilievre that wouldn't have been out of place on the campaign trail. Kate McKenna is here with that angle.
Adrian, it was a political speech, and it was very well received. Like all speakers at this event, Pierre Poilievre paid homage to the resilience of the Jewish people and to the lives lost in the October 7th attacks. But he also put some of the blame of the surge in anti-Semitism back on the Prime Minister, blaming lax border policies, bad appointments, and funding for programs he says support terrorists. He says the Trudeau government supports an ugly ideology that divides people, while at the same time saying what he would do if he was in office.
I will vote against anti-Israel resolutions at the United Nations. I will back Israel's right to defend itself, which includes retaliating against those that attack Israel.
This was in sharp contrast to the Prime Minister's speech, which focused on the atrocities of last year's attacks and supporting Canada's Jewish population during a surge of anti-Semitism.
And Kate, this on a day where the anniversary had already featured in Question Period.
Yes, Poilievre used his time in Question Period to call on Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly to condemn what he called anti-Semitic hate slogans. Joly did not do that, saying that the October 7th attacks should not be politicized and saying she stands against anti-Semitism. After Question Period, she accused him of playing petty politics on the backs of victims, saying he's unfit to become Prime Minister.
All right, Kate McKenna in Ottawa. In just a few minutes, we're going to return to the Nova Music Festival to hear from a woman who survived the massacre there 1 year ago.
The people that live here don't want this, to be scared, to cry.
We first met her in the days after the attacks. We'll hear how she's trying to heal tonight, coming up in the breakdown. But first, there is some developing news unfolding tonight in the Gulf of Mexico, where another powerful hurricane is taking aim at Florida. Milton is now a Category 5 hurricane after exploding in strength. The storm is expected to approach Florida's Gulf Coast Wednesday, but many people there aren't waiting. The urgent warning from officials tonight is to get out now. All of it in a state still reeling from Hurricane Helene. Cam McIntosh now with the race to escape the storm.
Traffic bumper to bumper, thousands of Floridians getting out of the way of yet another big hurricane. In Seminole, near Tampa, Tom Murphy and his family among those working to the last minute to protect what they can.
You just got to do what you can early and just get out there, and it is what it is, right?
This is what's heading their way. Milton, a Category 5 hurricane, churning over the Gulf of Mexico. This is it from space. Winds reaching 280 kilometers an hour. As officials warn, millions may need to leave their homes.
We can hope and pray that it does weaken, but as of right now, this is a ferocious hurricane.
It follows Helene, a Category 4 hurricane that tore through Florida and 5 other states less than 2 weeks ago, killing at least 232 and causing tens of billions of dollars in damage. Milton is headed for the heavily populated Gulf Coast, which includes Tampa.
I've never seen the damage that we saw with Helene, and Milton is on a whole other plateau.
Helene's record rains saturated Florida, priming it for flooding. Perhaps a bigger worry, the debris Helene left behind, which could cause even more destruction if Milton whips it all up again. Securing the debris is a priority. Milton formed further west than most hurricanes. It's expected to weaken before it makes landfall, but it's poised to hit Florida at a perpendicular angle, which could still cause a more violent than usual storm surge.
Extremely warm water in that Gulf of Mexico is what's fueling the storm.
It's been 2 decades since this many named storms hit Florida this early in the season.
Good luck.
Back in Seminole, Tammy Bowling is hoping she can stay home, but is ready to go.
You're not going to be able to once the water starts getting up.
Bracing for whatever comes. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, the U.S. presidential election is now less than a month away. Tonight, the Democratic hopeful was interviewed on CBS's 60 Minutes.
Was it a mistake to loosen the immigration policies as much as you did?
It's a long-standing problem, and solutions are at hand. And from day one, literally, we have been offering solutions.
Kamala Harris defended her party's policy on immigration and her record as vice president. Harris also discussed other key issues, including the economy. CBS said her opponent, former President Donald Trump, declined their request for an interview. Well, TV producers are betting big on our appetites for nostalgia in the shows we want to watch these days.
This is Dr. Fraser Crane.
Why Hollywood is stuck on TV reboots. And later, bringing their community to new heights.
It was probably one of the most physically challenging and mentally challenging experiences.
An Ontario First Nations couple plant their flags at the world's tallest mountain. We're back in 2.
This is a complex investigation. There are officers at multiple scenes.
Well, this is one of those scenes. Toronto police say that car was rammed by a black pickup truck, then shot at before it crashed and flipped over. Someone inside the truck then got out, fired more shots, got back in, then fled. A man and a woman in the car were unharmed by the gunfire but suffered serious injuries from the rollover. Well, a clinical trial is underway in Rwanda tonight to combat an outbreak of a deadly virus in that country. Jennifer Yoon now with what we know about Marburg and the race to contain it.
Hundreds of doses of an experimental vaccine now on the ground in Rwanda, a bid to stop the spread of a deadly virus.
This type of disease, most of the time, if not all the time, they start from hospitals.
This is the country's first Marburg outbreak. 56 confirmed cases and 12 deaths in just 10 days. The virus is closely related to Ebola. Symptoms can include high fever, severe headache, and nausea. At worst, it can cause multi-system organ failure. Fatality rates are as high as 88%, and there are no approved treatments or vaccine. In the past 10 years, there have been outbreaks in Tanzania, Equatorial Guinea, Ghana, and Uganda. In this latest outbreak in Rwanda, most of the people killed are health workers, which is why healthcare workers will now receive the experimental shot as part of a clinical trial from a US-based nonprofit promoting global vaccine access. The vaccine already shown to be safe for humans.
It is really a Herculean achievement.
This doctor, who survived an Ebola infection, calls the pace incredible and hopefully life-saving.
It means a lot knowing that there is global solidarity and a movement to really do something pretty unprecedented, like getting vaccines into a place so quickly.
It's a similar process that led to the development of Ebola vaccines.
As terrible as these outbreaks are and as devastating as this infection is, it still is an opportunity to do good for this world by determining if these products actually work.
Previous outbreaks have been contained with measures like contact tracing. Experts are optimistic the outbreak will be contained effectively and that the risk level for Canadians is low for now. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, as new TV shows roll out this fall, audiences are seeing more reboots of some classics.
I'm Madeline Matlock. Yes, Matlock, like the old TV show.
How Hollywood is banking on our nostalgia. Plus, a year after the October 7th attacks, the nightmare is still very real for those who lived it. Are you sometimes still afraid?
For sure. For sure.
We check in on a survivor of that terrible day. And a journalist in Gaza working for CBC reflects on a year of war and the sacrifices he's made to get the story out. What are we not seeing because there aren't enough journalists on the ground there? The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next.
Ignition, engines full power, and liftoff. Go, Hera.
So that spacecraft is now on a mission that could one day save Earth. A 2-year voyage to a small, harmless asteroid that was knocked off course when NASA deliberately smashed another probe into it. The Hera spacecraft will take a closer look at the damage. The idea is to learn if we can deflect an asteroid if it's ever on a collision course with Earth. Well, that very thing, that Earth-killing asteroid, is precisely the plot of several movies back in the 90s. And there are lots of the shows from that golden-ish era of TV making a comeback. As Magda Gebrselassie shows us, Hollywood is tapping into the past to reach new fans.
I'm Madeline Matlock.
Kathy Bates is getting in on the reboot game.
Yes, Matlock, like the old TV show.
The new legal drama with the classic name hit TV screens in September.
Surprise! What are you doing here, Alex?
Disney's sequel to The Wizards of Waverly Place will pop up just before Halloween.
Hey, baby, I hear the blues are calling.
All while Frasier settles in with its second reboot season.
This is Dr. Fraser Crane.
The show is a combination of familiar and fresh faces. That may be true of its audience, too. While the original show ended in 2004, younger audiences discovered it during the lockdowns, says the show's star.
Every once in a while, a 9-year-old will walk up and go, "Mr. Kramer, it's my favorite show on television." And I think, well, God bless you, you wonderfully strange kid.
The show is still a sitcom, but another reboot has found success by switching genres.
You always told me I was in control of my own destiny.
Bel-Air, which just aired season 3, is a dramatic, darker take on the 90s show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
What makes our show so successful is that we're taking the stories that the original show talked about, and we're able to peel back the layers of the onion a little bit more and get deeper.
But critics say some reboots failed to go deep enough.
Welcome back, followers.
The redo of Gossip Girl about rich teens in New York was canceled after 2 seasons.
Life too short?
The Sex and the City reboot faced similar criticism, but it's now filming its 3rd season. And the wave of reboots keeps coming, with plans for another Baywatch and One Tree Hill.
With IP that's familiar, that's comfortable, that is tried, tested, and true with audiences.
While it makes sense for studios, this culture critic warns that art could pay the price.
I know that there's a lot of people out there with great ideas whose stuff isn't getting made because people are retreading the same territory.
Still, Hollywood seems keen to keep banking on lightning striking twice. Magda Gebre-Selassie, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Tonight, the anniversary of a massacre and the devastating war that followed. She was an eyewitness when a celebration became a slaughter.
I'm alive. I can't believe it.
1 year after the October 7th attacks by Hamas, an Israeli musician grapples with having survived and all that has changed since then. Plus,
of horror, of pain.
The Palestinian videographer working for CBC in Gaza, while outside journalists are kept out.
What are we not seeing? Because there aren't enough journalists on the ground there.
But first, we hear from Laura Mallow, a young woman who seeks solace in her art. There is comfort in being creative after bearing witness to rampant destruction.
How are you?
I'm very well. It's really nice to see your smiling face. How are you doing?
What a paltry phrase, "how are you," is, when Laura Mallow's answer is bound to be so complicated.
1 year later, it's no easy, this situation this year. Very, very difficult. I'm trying to be better every day.
To get the weight of that, get a load of this. Laura's a DJ, a musician. So no surprise that last October, she was excited to go to the Nova Music Festival in the Negev Desert, was loving it.
We drinking, we happy. We start to hear the bombs, the missiles, pa, 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 pa.
October 7th, hell was raining down. It was a massacre. Death and Hamas stalked Laura too. But she ran. She and a dear friend named Itamar, closer now, of course, bolted, incredibly, chronicling it all.
A lot of shoots, and people run to us and tell us, like, go from here. People in the bikes shooting everybody. We go into the car and we escape. I see the soldier take the gun and start to shooting us. After that, we start to just drive.
Where were you hiding?
In a greenhouse next to the kibbutz.
Scared souls running, hiding for 15 hours, eventually saved and forever changed.
I just put a story in the Instagram when I'm crying. Say like, people, we are in life. Thank you for everything.
In a conversation shortly after, she was still shocked and not yet sleeping.
What I lived is so heavy. I'm alive. I can't believe it.
In the days that followed, entirely coincidentally, a CBC team was in the desert where all the burned-out cars from the music festival had been taken.
I was so scared.
And happened to meet a young man with a story to tell of escaping with a friend, but not before another friend was killed right in front of him.
He's done with his mom in the phone. Hey, mom, I love you, I love you. Hey, mom, it's done.
And who should it be telling this terrible story? But Itamar, Laura Mallow's Itamar, the friend hiding in the greenhouse with her. Hard to imagine either of them just picking up and carrying on after that. We reached out to Itamar. He's holding up, but it's been a rough year.
He's my friend for all my life. A real friend. Sometimes he's better than me.
There is psychological help for both of them, but rarely peace or an escape.
Are you sometimes still afraid?
For sure. Yesterday. Wow, was scared.
She's talking about the Iranian missile barrage that happened the night before we had our interview. It was back to feeling heart-pounding horror.
Do you sometimes think, I can't stay in this country? It's too scary?
Sometimes, but in another side, all the world hates us, so you don't have a safe place now. So I'm here with my people, with my family, with my friends.
And her music, still her music. She's DJing, writing original songs like this one, and it helps.
Is there something you want Canadians watching this to understand?
I hope to say this not just for the Canadians, for all the world. Hate for what? The people that live here don't want this. To be scared, to cry. We don't want this. So don't forget what you have and say every day thank you about your life.
This is a good message. I really appreciate you taking time to talk to us.
Thank you.
Terrible experiences like Laura Mallow's are a key part of this past year. It matters that our teams can be in Israel. Telling the story of Gaza is more difficult. Foreign journalists are not allowed in unless embedded with the Israeli military, and just one got in briefly with an international aid group. So CBC News hired a videographer who lives in Gaza to gather images and interviews. His name is Mohammed El-Saifi, and you should meet him.
Mohammed El-Saifi says he's long had one ambition.
Sulhafi. Kulu Sulhafi, Sulhafi, Sulhafi.
Sulhafi. That means journalist in Arabic, but to be doing this is far from a dream.
Your journalistic community is very, very small now, and you keep losing friends. Is there ever a moment when you say, I just can't do this anymore? Because everybody would understand.
No, I've never thought to stop. Yes, I'm tired. There's no journalist in the world covering a war for a whole year. You're like any other civilian, any displaced person, but you feel the responsibility on you is greater because you have to cover.
Because outside journalists have been barred from entering Gaza by both Israel and Egypt for a year now, CBC has relied largely on Mohammed to gather raw images and video for our journalists to include in their reporting. Everything from the scramble for fragments of aid to the tales of Gaza's kids, all the kids, dead, dying, and barely hanging on.
The story that had the biggest impact on me is the story of Mustafa, the boy who lost a limb. He was selling at the entrance of his tent, and I captured those moments. And the other story, the Abu Ajwa family.
Me and my brother suffered a long night to survive, of horror, of pain.
2 children, the lone survivors whose uncle is Canadian. Those affected me the most because they were alone. They had nobody.
Mohammed isn't alone. He's a dad, and his wife is 5 months pregnant. All of them are on the move all the time. His family relies on him.
Where are you living now, and what is that like?
I'm now in Al-Aqsa University in Khan Yunis. My family is there. My wife, my dad, and my son. The hardest part is when I see my son Ahmed saying, "Bye, Baba," as I'm leaving. I think to myself, God forbid that will be the last time between my son and I.
To have this conversation so openly, using his name, showing his face, took another conversation about safety.
Did you have to think hard about whether that was a good idea for you?
No, the opposite. I'm excited and satisfied with my decision to come out and film my family and children, especially for CBC. To show the Canadian people, this is Mohammed El Saifi. This is his life. This is how he films. This is how he goes out.
Shukran. As long as you're safe. Shukran.
As critical as his work is, it's a huge problem to not have more perspectives on Gaza, more documentation of what both Israel and Hamas are doing to the people who live there.
What are we not seeing because there aren't enough journalists on the ground there?
You can't see with your own eyes how the area looks like, how the destruction looks like. Whatever the person sees on the screen isn't the same as living through reality. The shock for an English journalist would be to see the scale of the destruction in front of them.
There's pressure on Israel and Egypt to allow foreign journalists access to Gaza. It's not happening. So that's added weight on the likes of Mohammed, his goals as relatable as can be.
To live in a safe area, my wife, my son, and my family. In all honesty, I want to go somewhere far from Palestine, far from this whole world here, to sit somewhere that I can feel safe and relaxed, that I'm far away from danger, far away from destruction.
A simple and yet impossibly complicated ambition. And his terrifying work goes on.
Our teams have been on the ground in the region for the past year in the aftermath of the October 7th Hamas attacks and the war that followed. Coming up, our correspondents reflect on what they've seen and what could be ahead. For 1 year now, CBC journalists have taken you inside the conflicts newly inflamed by the October 7th Hamas attacks. From Israel to Gaza to Lebanon, the seismic impact still spreading. Here are Chris Brown in Jerusalem and Margaret Evans in Beirut to give their read on what to watch for next. Chris, you were in Israel mere hours after the attacks of October 7th, many times since. I'm curious what your sense is of how the country has changed in the last year.
Well, Adrian, I think a year ago after October 7th, the people were totally shocked that their esteemed military and security services could have messed up so massively, could have totally failed. And I think it shattered a sense of security, and that sense of vulnerability has really persisted, I think, until very recently. It started to ebb, maybe, with the pager explosions. They were euphoric about that on a lot of Israeli TV stations. And then came the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah, and followed very quickly by the incursion of Lebanon. So now I think that feeling of insecurity has lifted to some degree, and it may explain in part why there's been little to almost no opposition to major military action in Lebanon or talk of, a big strike on Iran.
Let's talk about Lebanon for a second. Margaret, I remember us talking a year ago about the extent to which this conflict would further spill over into Lebanon. We're seeing that very much happen. You're there now. You were also there in the war with Hezbollah in 2006. This is bigger, right? And at a time when Lebanon is much more vulnerable. How acute is the fear there?
It's very acute. The mood is extremely grim, dour. People are afraid that this country might not survive what's coming its way. The Lebanese Prime Minister, Mikati, said it is an existential threat. And there is a sense, particularly in Beirut, in the capital, because you've had this huge influx of people particularly from the south, of things being undone. It's just the city is used to opening and closing in times of war, but right now there's a sense of rawness and vulnerability to it. And of course, in times like this, the sectarian divides in this country kind of come up to the surface. people go back to their own communities, and there's a lot of suspicion on the streets because you have people coming from the south. The south is considered Hezbollah heartland. People here want to be open to their fellow Lebanese citizens, take them in. They don't want to see people sleeping outside on the street. But you're starting to see the Israeli airstrikes that have been hitting the Hezbollah suburbs, the southern suburbs. The stronghold here in Beirut, coming to some other parts of the city to target individuals, so people don't know who they're renting their houses to or who they're inviting into their homes. And of course, there's the fear of strangers on the street. We've seen it. Journalists are having a hard time. We have to get permission from each neighborhood watch person if we want to even bring out our cameras.
I know that both of you over the past year have looked at perceptions of Hamas amongst Palestinians. And so really this is to both of you. But since you spent this day in the occupied West Bank, Chris, can we start with you?
Well, everyone, first of all, in the West Bank is going to tell you now it's very different. It's very hard to get around. There's lots of checkpoints. Thousands upon thousands of people have been arrested and held without charges for months on end. People have been cut off from their jobs in Israel. And all of that is part of Israel's response to Hamas's attacks. So if you ask them, do you want the war to end, as we asked that question today a lot, everyone we talked to a person said, absolutely yes. But then if you ask them again, well, do you support attacks against Israel? Even do you support what we've seen today, like rocket attacks on Tel Aviv? Many will also say yes. And there's a caveat here. I think a lot of Palestinians simply don't really believe that Hamas committed atrocities that day. Instead, they see these as attacks against the military or Israel's government, and therefore it's all part of legitimate resistance, so to speak.
And just briefly to you on that point, Margaret, the perceptions of Hamas in Gaza, has that shifted?
It's hard to get a handle on that one, Adrian, because obviously people are trying to survive. It's hard to get opinion polls going. And also Hamas is, it is a strong and often brutal organization. Asking journalists that we work with to go out and ask people what they really feel like about Hamas, people are going to be afraid to say it. I would say that, historically, sometimes in the past, you would see support for Hamas being stronger in the West Bank than it has been in Gaza. I think probably just as here in Lebanon, people are angry with Hezbollah, many of them for dragging them, as they see, into a war they don't support. You're going to have people in Gaza feeling the same way about Hamas. But I think it's important to remember that a lot of the time when you're asking this question, it's very difficult for Palestinians to decouple support for political groups or armed resistance groups from the question of the occupation. And they will be answering it in terms of who they think can best deliver them their freedom, their self-determination.
All right. Margaret Evans in Beirut, Chris Brown in Jerusalem. Thank you. Up next, a couple carry the flags of their communities to Mount Everest.
I thought it would be a great opportunity for my wife to come on an adventure with me.
Big adventure, their journey to breathtaking new heights in our moment. So who's this? Well, you're looking at Marietta and Travis Duncan carrying their flags to the base camp of Mount Everest. Flags which represent Bearskin Lake First Nation and Muskrat Dam First Nation. They became the first of their communities to reach that milestone. It was a journey full of ups and downs, but tonight their achievement makes our moment.
The point where we had taken the photos was about 5,400 meters above sea level.
It was probably one of the most physically challenging and mentally challenging experiences I've personally ever underwent.
We'd kind of wake up with a breathless feeling, and it kind of interrupted our sleep patterns as well, being up there. Some people experience like nausea.
I thought it would be a great opportunity for my wife to come on an adventure with me and showcasing our flags and kind of showing people that we're a little bit more than maybe some of the perceptions that we might get of Indigenous people in Thunder Bay or in Canada.
I'm proud of where I come from, I'm proud to be part of the community and just to represent them.
So Travis says he only initially posted the images so that his auntie could see them, but 2 hours later was completely overwhelmed with the amount of the reception he was getting. That journey was 10 days up and 4 days down, and they're still thinking about it. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.